One of the most useful ways to collect data from students is to create a form. When you go into Google Drive, you can create a form, and as soon as you start that process, you go into the edit mode where you can add questions and photographs and so forth. Once you share that, it becomes a live form, and that live form can then put data directly into a spreadsheet. And by default, spreadsheets are set so that the only person who can see that data is the person who created it. However, you could share the data and then visualize it and graph it for the students there as well. So in this particular activity, we're going to create a form. So if you're under Google Drive, you click on the New button, and you go down to More, and you can select Google Forms. Now you'll notice that the Google Forms is green, just like the Spreadsheets is green, because a Google Form will create a spreadsheet. And then you can also direct that data from the Google Form to go into different spreadsheets if necessary. So the first thing to do is to title it. Let's say we want to do something on volcanoes. And then once you're done with that, you can also file it there, move it to the appropriate folder as necessary. We're going to edit the first question right here. Let's say we want their name. And we're going to adjust this so that it's a text answer. When we create another item, click on a second one right here, we have the choice of various different types of questions. In this case, we'll select paragraph. So let's say we want to prompt them in terms of see what they already know about volcanoes. So we're just going to call this one here, title is volcanoes, and we're going to have them, in the help text, we're going to actually write the question itself. So let's say, what are the 3 types of volcanoes? Right? So here we're looking for a longer response, and of course they can put it in as much text as they want to there. Now if you look at the other items here, there's a variety of different choices and so forth. The next one here is multiple choice. So let's go ahead and just select a multiple choice one. And let's say we have some kind of a question about a particular volcano. So let's say that we want to ask questions about, let's say that historical volcanoes. Okay, so let's say we'll just put the historical volcano. And let's say that the first question I wanted to ask is that, which volcano buried Pompeii and Heraclium. So nice thing about this is that there's spell check built right in, like with all the Google products, and so we can correct that as we work. All right, so that's great. Now let's say we already had a set of responses and so forth. Here's a spreadsheet which has 10 famous volcanoes. I can just copy those, and taking it back over to this form right here, if I enter the first cell and then Command V or Control V for the PC, it'll automatically fill in all the options. So when you click on that, it creates all the various options, and that's one reason to establish your lists ahead of time in a spreadsheet, and then you can just copy and paste the data over. Now let's say you wanted this same set of information, you didn't want to have to retype that stuff in or paste it in again. You can hit the copy button, which will duplicate the question right here. And let's make it another historical volcano, and this one we're going to say which volcano erupted in southern Washington in the 1980s. All right, so we can ask that question right there, and now it's done. And now we have one that has the same set of responses, but it is basically with a different question. Now one of the reasons for doing it in this particular fashion with a multiple choice or a checkbox is it forces the student responses into certain categories and makes it easier to analyze data. In fact, the data will be analyzed automatically for you. Let's create some different types of questions right here. let's create a question here in terms of if they can identify the various different types of volcanoes. So let's go ahead with putting an image in here. And when we're putting an image in here, we could, let's say, search for something. So let's go ahead and search here for, let's say, Mount St. Helens. And we're going to look at Google's images and so forth in this case right here. So let's go ahead and change that there. And go ahead and hit the search. And we can see here's some options. And so we can scroll through this and say, okay, here looks like a pretty good view of the volcano today, or here's one of it erupting, so we're going to go ahead and select that. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to pop it directly in there, and we're not going to actually title this at this point because this is going to be available for the next question, so we want them to look at this image as they answer the next question. So we'll click on Done there, and then we're going to add a, let's say, a multiple choice in this case. And let's say here Mount St. Helens. And so which type of volcano is this? All right, so now we're ready to put our responses here. So we can go ahead and just put in their cinder cone and shield and stratovolcano. So now we have incorporated images in there, and of course you can upload images or you can take them off your Google Drive or a variety of different sources. If you happen to know the URL from the internet, you can paste that in there as well. Looking at some of the other options right here, checkboxes is also a great option because you can select from more than one on a list. So let's go ahead and create a checkbox one right here. And let's say we wanted the question here on, let's say, stratovolcanoes. And let's say which of the following are stratovolcanoes. And we're going to paste in that same list. And now we have checkboxes. You'll notice that these are checkboxes which they can select more than one, whereas in a multiple choice, it can only select one type. Choose from a list is basically very similar, only just it's kind of a pull-down menu right here. And so let's say that we're going to have them write, select one to do a project on. So let's go ahead and say select volcano. And in this case, we're just going to paste in the list here, but when we say done here, this gives us a pull-down list, and that can conserve some space and so forth on your survey form. Particularly useful if you're embedding your form into a web page. Now, when you go to like an advanced question and so forth right here in terms of like a scale. So let's say we were going to ask a question about the magnitude of these quakes and so forth, or magnitudes of the volcanoes. So let's put their magnitude, and again, there's many different ways to define that. Let's just say that on a scale from 1 to 10, which was the largest and the smallest. Okay, so we'll paste in our responses from before, but first we need to select 10 options if we're going to have 10 options. And but you'll notice it doesn't take the same data, and you kind of go, well, why is that? Well, the reason is this is actually a different type of a question. So you thought it was going to be maybe a ranking one. This is actually something where you're going to ask questions in terms of a scale. So if we clicked on done, you kind of go, oh, now you can see that all of this, our list here, actually went into the question form right there, and it gave us 10 options to choose from. So this is obviously not very helpful, the way we phrase it right here. So you say, oh man, I made a mistake, let's go ahead and just delete it. Not a big problem. Let's go back and look at the question again in terms of doing a scale. So the idea here is this is for more ranking things. This is useful for surveys. And let's say we ask them the question here in terms of your prior knowledge. And, you know, how much do you know about volcanoes? And so here you can say that maybe 1 is nothing and 5 is a lot. Okay, hopefully you're going to write better questions when I'm writing here. When you click on done here, you'll see that this is now a Likert scale that they can respond 1 to 5 on. When you're doing a grid does the same thing, but it does it in 2 different dimensions. So you can rank things according to 2 axes. And then there's other options here that, let's say you want to incorporate a video, and so you can put the video directly into your site. So look, and let's just go ahead and say video right here. I'm going to look at this, and let's say Mount St. Helens, and we're looking at YouTube, and let's see if we can see a Mount St. Helens eruption. Here's a 22-minute one. We can elect something that's perhaps a little bit shorter than that. So let's go ahead and put this one in and then select it there. Now this one here will appear right in this, and now we can title this. So this is a Mount St. Helens again. And then when we're done, we can ask questions about the video. So we can go down here and prompt with another type of a question of any of the types we've made before. Now, you can edit all of the work that you have done in here. Let's say that this picture is too large. You can simply click on that, and you can reduce it simply by dragging the handles. You can center it and so forth. Maybe you want to reposition the questions. Let's say you want to move this one up one. Just click on it, drag it up there. It'll replace the position of the former one. When you're creating the forms, you can also invite collaborators. So for example, if I go over to File and I say Email Collaborators, I could select other people that I want to be able to edit this form, live form. And if you've created a mail group, as I have right here, so let's say I wanted to create this with 525 Spring 15, which happens to be the students that I have right now, all those students will be able to edit this. And so it'll send them an invitation to come and to edit this particular form. And this is very useful if you want to have multiple people creating like a first day of school questionnaire or maybe an exam. It'll all go into a common database, and everybody has an opportunity to contribute. Now, the students are going to see something like this. This is the form that they're going to see. It's going to be a live form, and they can enter the data in here. Let's just go ahead and put some of this information in here. And I'm not going to bother with the free response questions because that'll just come out as text. But let's say that students said, okay, well, which of these buried Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius, this one here is going to be Mount St. Helens. And as they go through the form, that they're going to, their data is going to be entered into the spreadsheet. And now we click on submit. All right, let's submit another response just so we can get some kind of data like this. Let's call this Newton, and let's say Newton put some different answers in here. First one's different, second one's the same, and third one's different, and so forth. Chooses a different volcano, and then he submits. All right, then what we have here is we now have data that's going to go into this form. It's going to go into the spreadsheet. And if you go to the live form and you click on this link up here, it says edit this form, you will see over here you now have 2 responses in your spreadsheet. So if you click on the responses, if you look at the view responses, this is going to give you the data. There you can see the information that's been put in. However, if you look at that same form right there and instead you go to look at the summary responses, it'll actually graph the data. So you can see these are graphs which show that there was a 50-50 choice on the first one right here. All the parties, in this case 2, had the same answers here. There's difference and so forth in the contributions there. And although it's kind of useless in this particular demonstration, it does become very significant when you get lots of students contributing. You can get a large amount of data put into this and for analysis. Now, one of the really great things about this is you can also embed these into a web page. So let's say I go to a website right here and I wanted to put in this form right on this page. I can simply edit, and then once the editor's up, you can say insert and then go to your Google Drive and look for your forms. And this form is the most recent one, so you can just select it right there. Work at 5 right at the time we're doing it right now. Say select, and then you can change the parameters as necessary right here. If you leave this part blank, it'll go 100% width. When you save it, you'll see that the form is actually embedded in it, so that you'll keep them in your web page and they can simply click on these answers and they're never going to leave the web page. Now, alternatively, that if you're back here looking at the database and so forth like this, you can say send the form, and here you simply place the email addresses of the students you want it to go to. Or alternatively, you can take the URL, which is right up here, and of the live form. So go to the live form, take the URL for the live form, and place that into a website and make it a link. So I can go over here, make an edit, and I'll say, please complete the form. And so when you highlight that and make that a link to that specific web address, then when the person clicks on that link, it's going to take them off-site to that survey. We can see right here, it goes right there to that survey. So this is going on to a dedicated survey page. This one right here is going to be the survey embedded in the page itself. Okay, so that gives you kind of an idea for how to create forms and the type of data that they can collect.